how to use Power Query to combine two different datasets, and then with the help of a pivot table, we can summarize this new dataset. However, I have three problems here. The first one, the dataset is separate, so I need to combine those two datasets into only one dataset. And the second problem is the labels in the columns are different. So in the income, I have date, category, amount. Very straightforward. However, if I go to expenses, I have different names for actually the same column. So expense amount instead of amount, transaction date instead of date, and category name instead of category. So I need to match those labels to make the Power Query understand that one column is equal to another one. And the third problem here is in the income, I have positive values, and it's correct because it's money in. However, in the expenses, that in general sense conveys into money out, I have also positive values. However, I need to change to negative values. So how can I do that? I cannot change the structure of this table right here because maybe tomorrow or even today, someone else is going to include new rows with new information. So I cannot change the structure right here. How can I solve those three problems and then combine those two different data sets into one new data set, and with the pivot table create a summary? So let's start with that. I'm going to transform each one of those data sets into a table in Excel because it's a very helpful tool that I'm going to show you why. So income, this is my first data set. And if you have a data set within a different Excel file, because I have those two data sets within the same Excel file, they are just separate into different sheets. It doesn't matter, okay, because the step-by-step is the same. You need to go to the first sheet, do the steps that I'm going to show you here, and then open the second Excel file and do the steps and so on, okay? The process is the same. So in my first data set, I'm going to select this whole table all the way down to the end, like this. And then I'm going to go to insert and then convert into a table. Let me check. My table has headers and then okay. Now I have a table in Excel, and I think it's very important to properly name this table. As I'm using this table as income, I click on the table and then go to table design, and all the way to the left, instead of use the standard name table 1, I can change it to income underscore table, for example. Enter. That's it. And why is important to use a table in Excel? In my opinion, because it's easier to select this entire data set and upload into the Power Query. And every time someone, let's say, include a new row right here, a new date, a new category, a new value, etc., the table is going to automatically update with a new row. So it's much easier. Okay, but the first step is done. Now what I need to do is, let me go to the second data set and also select everything all the way down. And then I can go to insert, table, my table has headers, okay. And the name of this table is going to be expenses underscore table, enter. Okay, now I need to upload this table and also the first one into the Power Query. However, how can I do that? There's different ways that we can do this upload. However, I like this way right here. Click on the table, go to data, and then from table / range. That's it, simple as that. When you click in the option from table / range, Excel is going to open the Power Query. And in this new dialog, or this new window that opens up here, we can see in the left queries, and the first table is already here in the Power Query. In the middle of the screen, we can see the data set itself, the column names, etc., the values, and all the way here to the right, we can see the applied steps. Okay, I did the first thing. I upload the first data set. Now what I can do, I need to upload the second one. So let me close Power Query. However, I don't want to close Power Query and automatically Power Query inputs this data set within Excel again as a new table. So I just want to close and that's it. So I can go here to this down arrow and close and load to, and I'm going to check the option only create connection. That's it. And okay, simple as that. Okay. I can see here the queries and connections. Okay, I'm not going to use right now. So let me close this panel. I'm going to the second sheet and then again, data from table range. Excel is going to open again the Power Query. Now we can see the two data set that we selected. And because we want to merge those two data sets, it's very important to properly name the columns to match one column with another column. Let's say in the expense table, I have expense amount. However, instead of use expense amount, I want to match and use only amount. So let me go here to expense table, double click in the column name, 1, 2, and I want to call it X amount, enter, that's it. The cool thing about Power Query is every step that you do here, you can see all the way here to the right, the steps, the actions that you did. Now let's see another one, maybe transaction date is only date, enter. And as the category name, double click, 1, 2, I'm going to keep with only category, that's it. And the other problem that we have here is the amount, because in the expenses, I need to have negative values and not positive values. So how can I convert positive into negative? There's many different ways. I could also create a new column here to multiply the value by -1, for example. However, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to keep this column, but I'm going to add a column or transform. Let me transform this column and use the standard tool to multiply this entire column by -1. And then, okay, that's it. Now this entire column is negative. And because I did this action right here, the negative number is only going to be applied in the Power Query itself, not in the original data set. So this is very important and a very good solution. Now, how can I combine those two different data sets? I can combine and take expense and put below the data that I have within the income, or I can create a new data set. And this is, I think, is what I'm going to do. So let me click here, Home tab, all the way here to the right. I can go to Append Queries, and then I want to append queries as new because I want to create a new data set. So let me go to this option. And with this new dialog here, let me select the second option, 3 or more tables, because I think it's easier to see everything. And I want to take income and also add. Why I did select only income? Because in the panel to the right, tables to append, I already had here expenses table. So the only one that I was missing was the income table. Okay, now I have both of the data sets that I need to append. Then I can click OK. And now I have a third table that is append 1. I can also right click in this table and then go to rename. And I want to rename as income and expenses, enter, that's it. This is the name of my new data set. And I don't want to use everything. So let's say I have here amount, name, date, category. I don't need to use everything. Notes and description I'm not going to use. So let me click on description, right click, remove. I'm going to do the same for notes. Payment method. Yeah, okay, I think I can keep this column, category. The name I'm going to click, right click, and then remove. And that's it. I'm only going to keep with amount, date, category, and payment method. And now I want to close, but I not want to load anything into Excel. So let me go close and load, and then close and load too. And I only want to create a connection. And okay, that's it. Now, what is going to happen is Excel is going to show this right panel right here. Let's say, but you close the right panel, and what you can do right now, you can go to data and then queries and connections. Simple as that, because now you can see again the panel. What is the table that we need to use? Is the first one? No, it's not, because I already have the first table in my Excel. I already have the second one too, but the third one is the one that we created together, income and expenses. So this is the one I need to use. So I can right click in this query right here, and I can go to load to, because now with this new dialog box, I can select, I want to load as a table, and I want to use a existing worksheet. No, I don't want to use a existing worksheet. I want to create a new worksheet, a new tab. So that's it, new tab, and then OK. And Excel is going to create a new tab with the name that we used before, income and expenses. And here we have everything, amount, date, category, payment method, and etc. And what I need to do is the first portion of the video of the problem is already done, right? Because we used Power Query to combine a data set. And now we can use pivot table to summarize the data set. Let's say the total expenses and total incomes for each one of the months, January, February, March, and so on, and also the balance. We can calculate the balance right now. So let me go to insert and then pivot table, and I want to use a new worksheet, okay, because Excel adds a new sheet for me, and I want to see the date. So click, hold, and drag within the rows. Excel is going to break the date into days and months, and this is exactly what I was looking for: January, February, March, April, and so on. Now let's say I want to see the balance. I can just take the amount, click, hold, and drag within the values. That's it. This is the amount that I have for each one of the months. Oh, okay, but what if I want to see the expenses in one column, and in the second column I want to see the income, and in the third column I want to see the balance? How can I do that? Because in the way the data set is structured, I can only see the balance because it's the total of the value. In this case, we can go back to income and expenses, and we can have a new column that separates which is, let's say, income and which is expenses. However, how can we do that? We can go back to Power Query, and it's very simple. Let me go here to data, queries and connections. It's already open here. I can double click within the income and expenses. Or if you prefer, you can go to get data and then launch Power Query editor, because you're going to open again the tool that we are using before. So let me go to income table. Let me click here, and I want to add a new column. And why should I add a new column? Just to write in all the rows that this is income. So we can have, let's say, as a type column thing that we're creating here. Let me add a new column, a custom column, and this new column can be called type. And as the custom column formula, within quotations, it's very important, okay? Within quotations, we can write something like income. Click OK, and that's it. Now, within the income table, we have a new column called type with all the rows equals to income. We can do the same thing for the expenses table. We can create a custom column, call it as type. We need to match the labels, right? And as the custom formula within quotations, we can go to expenses and then OK. Now we have two new columns, one in the income table, another one in the expense. And if we go to income and expenses, we can see this new column is already here. In the first rows where we have negative values, we can see the type is equal to expenses. However, when the rows starting showing the positive values, we have income. Okay, that's it, guys. Very simple. Now what we can do is Home tab, close and load, and then close and load. That's it. There's no other option. Let me close and load. Okay, Excel is going to update the dataset, As we can notice right here, the new column is already appearing. And if we go back to the pivot table, no, the new column is not here. But why is that? Because we need to go to data, refresh all to refresh the entire Excel file. That's it. Now we have the new column, call it type. So we can click on the type, hold and drag within the columns. Now what we're going to have is expenses, income, and grand total. So we could use Power Query to combine different sheets into one and also create some new columns that separate which column is expense, which one is income, and that way we can have here a balance. That is the difference between expense and income. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or any suggestions to the next videos, let me know, comment down below, and I see you in the next one.